Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I'm my humble studio back here in the UK, which, if we're going to be honest with each other, it's a spare room / office in my home. And for the not-so-regular listeners, I've just returned home from covering the Adobe Summit event in Las Vegas. And it's funny, when I'm locked in this giant hotel without natural sunlight for 4 days, it was almost like being caught in this huge bubble, learning how using data the right way to create unique, real-time, personalised digital experiences is actually an incredibly cool thing and not creepy if it's done the right way. And as you may have heard on some of the shows last week, there were so many great examples. And most importantly, one of the key messages I got was that much of the demand is actually led by consumer behaviour, who are demanding those same one-click, one-swipe digital experiences from services such as Amazon, Netflix, Spotify, etc., all across multiple devices and being able to pick up from whichever one's closest to them. But by contrast, just a few hours of me being back here in the UK, I'm sat here staring at my privacy-focused Brave browser, telling me that it's blocked 122,000 ads and 62,000 trackers. And when you combine that with the real-world problems I'm hearing about caused by technology and why people are turning to VPNs, I think it's so important to tell the other side of the story too. So on today's podcast, I invited Joe O'Reilly of BestVPN.com, which essentially is a VPN comparison site. But Joe has an extensive background in the intersection of data privacy and also everyday women-focused issues, and recently wrote a fantastic dissertation on how to use social media to actually empower women. But enough from me. Before I reveal any more spoilers, it's time for me to ask you all to buckle up and hold on tight, because I'm going to beam your ears all the way to Chester here in the UK so we can speak with Joe O'Reilly from BestVPN. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Joe. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm Joe. I'm the deputy editor at BestVPN.com, and we are a VPN review and comparison site. Really, my role is I ensure that the reviews our technical experts write are clear and concise, and that they deliver all the information really that a consumer needs to find the safest and most reliable VPN for them.
And on top of that, of course, you also have an extensive background in the intersection of social media, journalism and women's rights. But I've got to ask, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities that you see in these areas?
Okay, I think one thing that social media has been really fantastic for is giving a voice to those often overlooked by the mainstream media. With women in particular, it's given them a new and really immediate way to communicate and to tell their stories and join forces and really find their tribe. You've only really got to look at the success of Alyssa Milano's Me Too campaign against sexual violence to really see the power that can be harnessed when women use social media to support and to really amplify each other's voices. Obviously, like anything with digital media, there are challenges as well as opportunities. Living your life online, as any woman who has ever shared an opinion on Twitter will tell you, can attract some really negative attention as well as positive. Perhaps in part because of this, you often find yourself walking a line between trying to be your authentic self online and not sharing so much private information that you leave yourself open to doxing and cyber stalking and trolling.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because when I was researching you before inviting you on here, I read a fantastic dissertation written by you on how to use social media, but to empower women. Can you tell me more about that for people that haven't seen it, and maybe just offer a bit of an overview of that dissertation?
When I wrote my dissertation, the Arab Spring was really in its infancy, and it was at this time primarily young women with Twitter or Facebook accounts that they'd really used for their personal use, and they were beginning, in places like Libya and Tunisia, they were suddenly using these platforms that had been primarily a really kind of personal fun thing to disseminate really important information and to report really on events in real time as they happened. Much of the mainstream media at the time was kind of unable to comprehend or effectively report on what was happening on the ground. And it was often these women that were really shining a light on the events.
And there are so many big issues in tech that are seldom talked about now. And that's one of the big reasons I record this show, to get that message out there. And I've also read about, obviously, the increasing prevalence of cyberstalking in today's online first world approach to dating. I mean, is that something that you have an opinion and can expand on too?
Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, they're these vast hunting grounds for cyberstalkers. I think it's been said that 1 in 5 cyberstalking victims have really been targeted through their social media profiles. As you can imagine, it's not surprising that women more than men are often the victims of cyberstalking. I think really all you can do is, I don't know much about how we begin to quell this. I think it's really about women kind of really trying to look to protect themselves. My advice would be to really carefully read the privacy policies of the sites that you frequent, and to keep reviewing and editing those privacy settings, because they do change. Be quite vague in your online profiles. Don't disclose your exact location. Travel plans. I mean, particularly when you've got children, you don't want to be putting their names or birth dates out there. Just really keeping your personal private information to yourself. Another thing I think is really big is to always take threats online seriously, the way you would with an online threat. Report them, document them, contact the police. Threats online are just as serious as threats made to you in person, and really, really to be aware and protect yourself and take those seriously.
Some great points there, and I think most of us are guilty of just hitting agree on those terms and conditions. But I mean, do you think people realise the risks of in-app dating and social media's impact on dating? Do you think they realise that danger, or in many ways they're a little bit naive around it?
I think most people are aware of the risks these days. We see enough horror stories in the press. There's been a couple of really popular TV shows recently. I've just finished watching Dirty John on Netflix, and it really goes into some of the ways that, we begin these relationships online and they move very quickly into the real world. And unfortunately, we can be too trusting, particularly when, we're looking for love and we're looking for Mr. Right. We did a survey actually at BestVPN.com, and one of the things we found out that really shocked me was only 36.5% of women research a Tinder date before going to meet them in real life. And that's something I would like to see women, we've got these tools, we've got the power of research. Let's go and check people out a bit more before we put ourselves out there. And then, there's the obvious personal safety stuff. If you're going to meet someone for the first time, then let a friend know, let a family member know where you're going. Meet in a public place, and don't make that mistake of giving your address out to someone you only know on the internet. Don't let them come to you. Meet in public, and really look after yourself out there.
Fantastic advice. And of course, privacy tech is something that's quite exciting right now. So how do you see it being used for the empowerment of women in today's political climate?
I think one of the things that's really worth noting for me is that unlike a lot of tech-focused professions, the privacy industry is a much more level playing field in terms of, women CEOs and women in the business. It's a much more even split in terms of gender. That in itself is massively exciting. It shows that women really see something in the industry that they want to be a part of, and that the industry is recognising that it understands the unique value that women bring to the table in terms of the importance of setting that digital privacy agenda.
Now, we have covered a lot of ground, and I'm conscious, though, that we haven't spoken about BestVPN yet. So can you tell me a little bit more about it and what you guys do and what makes it different from other solutions out there?
Okay, we're the longest standing VPN comparison site, so we are kind of, we're the originals, and, we've reviewed more VPNs than any of our competitors, and we do strive to really keep up to date. It's a crowded market at the moment, and, when something new comes out there, we really try to be kind of first in the know, and to really review the services as soon as they emerge in the market. The team are hugely passionate about what they do, but still we've made a point of being very much data-led, ensuring that we're really helping consumers make the most informed choices about their online privacy, that they're not just listening to our opinions, that, they can see the numbers, they can see the speed tests that we're doing and the real detailed stuff. And so they've got all the tools they need really to make an informed decision about their online privacy.
Now, many people might have searched for a VPN service just to bypass entertainment licenses at streaming services such as Netflix. But I suspect that many of your customers use the services in areas where freedom of speech is a luxury that they just don't have. I mean, do you get any feedback on why people use BestVPN?
I mean, obviously, online streaming services, they are massively popular. There's no denying that. There is no denying that that's a reason that people often seek out VPNs. Many of these services are constrained by what they can show and where based on, seemingly archaic, really, broadcasting and licensing regulations. So it's natural that people will try and use technology to get around this. But I think what's really important to me and the team is that there are loads around the globe where a VPN isn't just about getting TV on demand. It's not about seeing an American show before your friends do. It's really about being able to access information as being maybe censored by their government, whether that be things like sexual health and contraceptive information for women in repressive countries, or, LGBT information and resources, or even just discussions about atheism and, ideas and theories that are perhaps frowned upon in the places they live. We obviously believe in a free and open internet for everyone, and we want people to be able to access the information they need on the web without censorship. And that's really important to us. I think as far as why people come to us, from our experience, people tend to come to bestvpn.com, not only when they are new to the VPN world, although we get a lot of people who are just dipping their toe in the VPN water, but also when they've had a service or two in the past, but, maybe their needs have changed. There are literally hundreds of commercial VPNs on the market, and it can be really quite hard to understand the differences between them. This can make choosing a service quite daunting. We really want to help guide consumers through this. Got to be honest, there are a lot of cowboy VPN services on the market. Many of these will lie about the extent of the privacy they offer, which can be dangerous if you are in a place where you really need that security, or just lie really about the performance that customers can expect from them. We hope that consumers come to us and know they're going to get a really honest and detailed VPN review that they can trust. And it's important that we maintain that trust, and we do a good job really of guiding them through.
So if there is anyone listening, and for some time now they've been thinking of signing up to a VPN service, and we do have listeners in 165 different countries, so they are going to be from a variety of backgrounds and cultures. And when they arrive on BestVPN, what should they essentially be looking for when choosing the right VPN for them?
Okay, well, this depends on what you're looking for. If you really are looking to stream content, and we expect high definition these days, we want to watch things without buffering. We don't want that kind of lag. So if you're really just looking to stream your online content, you're going to be looking for speed. We do a lot around speed tests to ensure that people get the best quality streaming via their VPN. However, if you're based somewhere where your online activity could really put your life or liberty at risk, or if perhaps you are a journalist and you're working on a politically sensitive story, then you want a trusted company. You're probably going to be willing to pay a bit more. You want someone with a really good track record, strong privacy policy, of course, and a kill switch. So a kill switch will, if your VPN stops working or it cuts out, a kill switch will stop the internet dead. That will prevent what you're doing leaking to your ISP, and really, prevent anything going wrong with the process. Obviously, on top of that, you want a service that doesn't keep any logs. If a service doesn't keep any logs, they can't be handed over to anyone. They just don't exist. So that's really key. If you're in a very much kind of serious life or death situation, or you're looking at really being kind of called up by the government for what you're doing. So it really depends on what you're looking for, and we really hope on the site that we cover both bases for different types of consumer.
And I suspect there's going to be a lot of people listening that are going to be left with a lot of questions after listening to our conversation today. So if they did want to contact a member at BestVPN or just find out more information, what's the best way of doing that?
I mean, everything you need on our website. Obviously, we have a contact us page, so you can find us at www.bestvpn.com. There's a form on the page where you can send us an email, or if you want to send us an email without going through the website, if you want to use a secure email service, you can drop us a line at info@bestvpn.com, and we'll do our best to get back to you in a really timely manner and really hopefully answer any questions you've got about VPNs or what we do, or how we can help you really.
Well, there really are so many different uses for VPNs now, and a lot that people don't even think about, especially here in the West. But I cannot applaud you enough for what you're doing, and also for raising some incredibly important topics today that will be helpful to everyone listening. But more than anything, of course, just a big thank you, Joe, for taking the time to come and speak with me today.
Thank you. No, thank you for talking to us. It's been really great to kind of spread the message about the important, the really important stuff that we're trying to do with online privacy and in giving people a way to find the tools to protect themselves out there in the digital world.
Man, we covered a lot of ground there, didn't we? Everything from the prevalence of cyberstalking in today's online first approach to dating, and then in-app dating and social media's impact on that, and also the incredibly important topic of privacy tech for the empowerment of women, especially in today's political climate. All of these topics and everything else we discussed are things that we don't get to hear enough about, and we don't talk about, and we don't debate them enough. And that's one of the reasons why I record this tech podcast every single day. But the most important aspect of what we do here is ensuring that everyone listening all over the world carries on that conversation that we've started. So this is the moment where I ask you to email me your insights, your experiences by sending me a quick email to techblogwriter@outlook.com. You can also get me on Twitter and Instagram at Neil C. Hughes. So please let me know your takeaways and anything you've experienced that you'd like to share with the listeners. And as we wrap up today's episode, I just want to offer a huge thank you to Joe O'Reilly for coming on the show today. And of course, a huge thank you to every one of you listening all over the world. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.